If you haven't fixed your breathing, you're wasting your time with other skills in the water. Breathing is the most important skill in swimming. If you don't fix it first, you're going to be struggling with all of your other skills forever. Hi, this is Andrew Sheaf with Mastering Flow. I help you dramatically improve your swimming by providing simple, actionable strategies that you can implement today. I believe everyone can improve in all areas of life, and all that it takes is the right guidance. Let's get better today. Breathing is a skill that everyone believes they've mastered, probably because they've been doing it since birth. While everyone may know how to breathe, that doesn't necessarily mean they know how to breathe well, particularly when they're swimming. I never understood the importance of breathing until I actually fixed my own breathing. Sure, I could understand and appreciate it when someone explained how important it was to me, but I didn't really get it. That's because I'd never felt it. It's just like riding a bike. Until you do it, you don't really understand it. Before I learned to breathe effectively, I assumed I was doing it right. But then once I learned to breathe effectively, swimming was so much easier. Unfortunately, I didn't know what I didn't know. It's impossible to understand how much breathing is really holding you back until you've experienced effective breathing. Put simply, great breathing is small, tight, and fast. Less than great breathing is going to be the opposite. Easy enough to understand intellectually, but if you haven't felt it, it's going to be hard to really appreciate the power of great breathing. It took me a long time to learn how to breathe effectively because no one gave me the tools to learn these skills. I had to figure it out for myself. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to make that happen so you can achieve the same outcome. Let's take a look at the major mistakes triathletes make during their freestyle breathing and how to fix them. Number 1 is holding your air. Many triathletes swim by taking a breath and then holding their breath until it's time to breathe again, and then once their head is out of the water, blowing their air out and getting the next breath. When you do it that way, it's going to take a lot longer to get the breath done. And as we'll see later, that's going to be a problem. To make matters worse, holding your breath leads to panicked and rushed breathing. You're trying to get all of your air out and then the air back in all at once. This is going to create the sensation of gasping for air. That's exactly what you do not want to happen. It's going to increase your perception of effort, it's going to make swimming feel harder, and it's going to be harder. What should you do instead? You need to let some of your air out while your head is still underwater. Then, right before you breathe, you need to really forcefully exhale all of your air. To get this skill down, practice bobbing. You can do it in shallow water or deep water, it doesn't matter. What you want to practice doing is getting a solid breath. Then when you're underwater, slowly exhale some of your air before forcefully exhaling all your air right before your head breaks the surface. This will help you get a quick, fast breath. And a fast breath is going to lead to fast swimming. Mistake number 2 is lifting the head. Because the head is underwater while you're swimming, the natural instinct is to lift the head to breathe. In many cases in life, our instincts serve us well. In this case, they do not. Your body is like a seesaw with your lungs acting as the fulcrum. When one end goes up, the other goes down. When you lift the head to breathe, down go the legs. What's one of the most common frustrations in triathletes? You guessed it, sinking legs. Sinking legs means slower swimming and a lot more effort for the same speed. Not good. While lifting the head to breathe doesn't necessarily make this happen, it will often make the situation worse, which is what you want to avoid. The solution? Learn to roll for the breath rather than lift the head to breathe. Here's how to do it. This drill focuses on fully rotating all the way to the back. You'll get air by rotating the head and the body, not by lifting the head and the body for air. It's an exaggeration of what you need to do, but by exaggerating, you're really reinforcing the key idea. Practice doing the drill, then practice swimming freestyle, going back and forth between the two. Focus on the sensation of keeping the head exactly in place and rotating to breathe rather than lifting to breathe. It may feel very strange to you, but that's perfectly fine. A big change is going to feel really weird, but a big change is going to lead to a lot of progress. Staying low is key to a great breath and effective freestyle. Number 3 is the fishhook. Ever see someone breathe and it looks like there's a fishhook in their mouth and someone's yanking on the line? That's a common breathing mistake and a particularly bad one. When your head gets pulled out of alignment, more drag is going to be created, and that's going to slow you down big time. Unfortunately, the head doesn't act alone. It's connected to the shoulders, so when the head moves out of line, so too do the shoulders. And the shoulders are connected to the torso, which is connected to the hips. So when the shoulders go one way, the hips are going to go the other way. And the hips are connected to the legs, so now the legs are moving back and forth too. And the same thing happens when you bring the head back from the breath. Now you're wiggling through the water, which is not good. All that means a lot of drag, which is going to slow you down. Unfortunately, it gets worse. Let's say you breathe to the right, so you're fishhooking to the right. That means the head is pulling to the right with each breath. Guess what else is going for the ride? As mentioned earlier, your shoulders are going to follow the head, and the arms are attached to the shoulders. Now your arms are going to be out of position, and it's really difficult to execute strong pulling actions when your arms aren't in the right position. Actually, it's impossible. Now your breath is affecting your arm pulls, which means it's directly affecting your speed again. All because of the breath. It's a big deal. So how do you fix the fishhook? While it can be helpful to think about what you're doing, I generally prefer a more impactful approach. I'd rather force a change than try to think through a change. Throw a paddle on your head and start swimming. If you're pulling the head to the side, it's going to come off. If you're keeping it straight, it won't. It can be really frustrating at first, but sooner or later, you will figure it out. Be patient, give it some time, try to get one good breath, and then go from there. The fishhook will be a thing of the past. Number 4 is slow breathing. One of the biggest issues you see in triathletes is a slow breath. A slow breath can happen from either holding your breath, lifting your head to breathe, or pulling your head to the side. 3 issues we've already discussed. So if you fix those issues, your breath should speed up. But some triathletes just take their sweet old time. The problem here is that a slow breath takes all of the previous mistakes and it magnifies them. You're going to be out of position for longer, which is not good. It's a vicious cycle. Breathing errors slow down your breath, and your slow breath makes the breathing errors worse. How do you speed it up and break this cycle? Try this. Never see anything out of the water when you breathe. Ever hear of the suggestion to only let one goggle come out of the water when you breathe? This is the same thing taken to the next level. You don't want to see anything. Here's why it works. First, it takes time for your eyes to focus on something. If you have time to focus on something while you're breathing, it's slow. So if you never take the time to focus on anything, your breath should be faster. You should just see a blur. Second, if you don't have time to see anything, that means your head is moving fast and it's also staying low. Lastly, it's really effective because it's objective. You know if you're breathing effectively because you either saw something, in which case you're not, or you didn't, in which case you're breathing effectively. Can you see the side of the pool? Can you see people? Can you see anything? If you can, speed up the breath, and if not, you're good to go. It's okay. Again, as mentioned before, it's okay to see a blur, but if you can see clear images, that's no good. Simple and effective. Of course, fixing the first 3 errors will make it easier to improve the speed of your breath, so make sure you address those as well. Number 5 is unilateral breathing. This one is a little controversial. You should be able to breathe bilaterally, and you should be practicing it. So, what do I mean by that? It means that you should be able to breathe on both sides with relative ease and effort. If you can't, that means there's some underlying issue in your stroke, and that issue is going to be holding you back. In many cases, it's the inability to effectively roll to both sides of the body. One side is pretty easy, and that's generally the preferred breathing side. The other side is going to be harder to rotate to, and that's the side you're going to struggle to breathe on. If you can't breathe to both sides, you need to fix that to improve your stroke. Your breathing is the symptom, your freestyle technique is the cause. That needs to get fixed. So how do you do it? The same strategy for keeping the head low is what works for getting the rotation on track. Roll to the breath. Get comfortable rotating all the way to both sides, and you'll have a lot more options in terms of how you move through the water. The quality of your breath to both sides doesn't need to be equal, but you should be competent with both. It's well worth the effort to fix this. How often should you practice bilateral breathing? You don't have to use a bilateral breathing pattern, such as breathing every 3rd stroke. You can just practice breathing to both sides every once in a while. If you're swimming in a pool, you can simply breathe to the non-preferred side every 3rd lap, or 4th lap, or 5th lap, or whatever makes sense for you. If you're swimming in open water, just string together 10 or so breaths to the non-preferred side whenever it suits you. So what percentage of a workout should you breathe in the non-preferred side? Not much, just maybe 5 to 10%. Of course, you can do way more than that, but it's only because you want to. If you're breathing bilaterally to improve your freestyle skills, 5 to 10% should be enough. If you want to do more, that's fine as well. Incorporating bilateral breathing is more of a training issue than a performance issue. When it comes to racing, just do whatever you feel most comfortable with. If that's breathing only to one side, no problem. I know bilateral breathing can be a pain, but for the total solution to address it, check out this video right here. I'll see you there. Keep it simple and keep getting better.